I want to share some horror stories with you guys. The first one is called Help Me, and it comes from a user. I was home alone one night, and I heard what sounded like screams in the forest near my house. I just kind of blew it off as people being crazy or maybe some animals. A few minutes later, I heard a knock at my door. I went to the peephole and saw that there was a girl in a white nightgown standing there. I opened the door, and she had this creepy smile on her face, and she was holding out a meat cleaver. She then proceeded to walk into my house. I screamed and shut the door. I don't know what she wanted, but I'm pretty sure that she wasn't there to have tea. The next story is called The Doll, and it comes from a user. When I was a kid, I used to see this doll in an antique store that looked exactly like me. I was hitchhiking with my friend across country, and we had been walking on the side of the road for hours. We were exhausted, and we had almost given up hope of getting a ride when this beat-up old pickup truck stopped, and the driver asked us if we wanted a ride. We were so desperate that we didn't care. We jumped into the truck and the driver said, "Hop in the back." My friend and I looked at each other and we were like, okay. When we got to the back of the truck, we noticed that there was a wooden box with some strange symbols carved into it. The driver then said, "Don't open that box," which of course made us curious. We started to open it, but he stopped us and said, "No, you don't want to do that." My friend and I looked at each other again and we were like, "Screw this guy." We got out of the truck and started walking away. The driver then slammed on the brakes and got out of the truck and started chasing us down the road. My friend and I started running, and we didn't stop until we got to a gas station. When we turned around, we saw the driver of that truck standing there with a big grin on his face. He then took off his shirt, and we noticed that he had these weird symbols carved into his chest. We were so scared that we started screaming, and that's when the cashier came out and started yelling at us saying that we were trespassing and that we needed to leave. The driver of the truck then looked at the cashier and said, "It's okay, I got him." And then he pulled out a knife. That's when we started running for our lives. I was born and raised in a small town, and everyone knew that doll. Some believed that it was cursed and brought bad luck to those who looked upon it. I never believed that until one day I saw the doll in a different antique store, and I looked closely into its eyes and smiled at it. And then I started having these weird dreams where I was in a dark room with no windows or doors, and I could hear people screaming in the distance. One day I woke up and I noticed that my left eye was totally black. It looked like someone had taken a black marker and drawn it in. At first I thought that it was just a really bad dream. But when I looked in the mirror later that day, I noticed that my left eye was still black. I went to the antique store to tell them about what happened, but they didn't believe me, and they wouldn't take the doll back. I haven't seen the doll since, but I still have nightmares about that black eye. The next story is The Last Selfie. I was 17, and I had just finished getting my makeup done for prom. I was so excited because this was the first time I got to do a full face, and I was going all out. I took several selfies in the mirror to remember the look. I still remember how special I felt in that moment. 2 days later, I was scrolling through the comments on one of the pictures when someone said, "Isn't that Sweet Pea from He-Man?" And I laughed because it totally looked like me and Sweet Pea from He-Man. But then the comments started to say, "Who's the girl behind you?" At first I thought it was a joke because there was no way anyone could actually see behind me in the picture. The angle of the picture and the lighting was such that you couldn't make out anything or anyone behind me. But then some people started saying, "She looks a lot like Up." That's when I noticed it. In the very corner of my eye, I could see the faintest outline of a girl in the picture. I tried to ignore it, but then more and more people started commenting on it. I took the picture down and went back to the store where I got my makeup done. When I showed the workers the picture, they all gasped and said, "Oh my God, that's not possible." They checked the security footage, and sure enough, no one was behind me when I took the picture. To this day, I have no idea who that girl was or how she got behind me in the picture. I never even saw her. I was standing in front of the store the whole time. I don't know if she's a ghost or what. All I know is that I'll never get my makeup done again. That was terrifying. I'm glad that person commented and pointed that out, because otherwise you would have never known. And also, how did you not notice that? Like you were taking the picture. You must have just been so focused on yourself. But I'm glad you shared this story with us. In today's video, we will be reading from the Whispers from the Closet category. So let's get into it. Story No. 4. My mom never told me this until I was an adult. My mom always kept a gun under her pillow when I was growing up. She said it was in case of a home invasion or an emergency. I didn't really think much of it because we had a pretty crappy house and it was in a bad neighborhood. One day my mom was cleaning out the closet and she asked me to get the gun because she wanted to take it to the range. As I reached for it, I noticed something weird. The gun wasn't in its usual place. I opened the closet door all the way and turned on the light, and there was a second gun in the back of the closet. I remember thinking, oh, so that's where the other one was. Then my mom said, "What are you doing? Don't touch that. Get out of here." Then she slammed the door and started crying. I was confused, but I didn't think much of it. Later that day, I went to my room and I found a key under my pillow. It was the same exact key that would fit the gun case. I asked my mom what the other gun was for. All she said was, "Don't ask." And then she took the gun to her room and locked the door. This happened when I was 13. I never forgot about it. And I'm still not sure what that second gun was for. To this day, my mom won't tell me why she had that second gun and what she keeps it for. And I'm not sure if it's her target shooting in her sleep or if she's practicing for when she has to use it for real. Story No. 5. The Closet Monster. When I was a kid, I used to have this recurring nightmare about a monster in my closet. The monster would always try to get me when I was sleeping by reaching out with long, gnarled fingers and a big, toothy grin. Well, fast forward to present day. I still have the exact same recurring nightmare, except now it's not just a dream. Every time I turn my head away from my computer while I'm working, I can feel eyes boring into the side of my head. When I look up, I see nothing. But when I turn back around, there's this shadow figure standing in the corner of my eye. I glance over again, and it's gone. I work from home, and I live alone. So you can imagine how unsettling this is. I've tried everything to stop this. I've tried telling myself it's not real, that it's just anxiety. But every time I do that, the monster reaches out and grabs my ankle, and I wake up screaming. I don't even want to go to sleep anymore. And I'm starting to miss work because I'm just so tired and drained from not sleeping. Please help. That was the end of the episode. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe Oh My Gosh Stories because I put out new videos every single day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.